president of Mohawk Services. We're the in-house trucker for Quinanago here in Atlanta, and in Charlotte, and in Orlando. We started off, we're starting our 20th year with Quinanago now. We started out with 4 straight trucks just doing local delivery, pickup and delivery. And now we're up to 32 tractors, trailers, straight trucks. We do the line hauls to Miami, to Charlotte, and Greenville line hauls. So as Quinanago and Atlanta has grown, we've grown along with them. So hopefully we've been providing a pretty good service for y'all, but we hope to continue the service that we provided, and hopefully for many more years to come. So our first speaker, there's a lot of changes in the industry. It's not like it was back in late 90s, early 2000s. There's a lot of changes, a lot more government regulations, which has affected our insurance, which has affected the driver pool. But I'll let our speakers address those issues. So our first speaker is an officer from the Motor Carrier Division, Patrick Thomas. He's going to give you a little background on the regulations we're under and how it's affecting the service and what we can provide for you. So thanks again for coming. Hopefully you're here not for the free lunch, but hopefully you'll take something.
Let me jump in real quick. So I also want to thank Glenn for setting this up. I mean, we talked about this for quite some time, and if we believe we have issues or challenges, on air freight and ocean freight, globally, believe me, there are enough also issues or challenges we have on the trucking side. We sometimes just ignore, or we just maybe overlook them because it's just a local delivery or just a local pickup. But this is as important and as critical, for anything in the entire supply chain. Even the last mile, is for us as important. So that's why I'm quite excited that so many of you signed up, and I know there are many who want to sign up. They're not here, but we can maybe provide them some information. And we should maybe also do this on a more regular basis, maybe every half year, because there will be more and more changes. And if you're here just for the lunch, that's fine too. At least you get educated and and have a nice lunch afterwards. So thank you, Glenn, for setting this up and getting all the speakers also involved. I think this is a great setup. So can't wait to listen what the challenges you have to go through. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Go ahead, Patrick. How are y'all doing today?
Good.
I'm Officer Thompson with the Georgia Department of Public Safety. I've been here with the patrol for 8 years. I came from Capitol Police, and then I've been, with Motor Carrier for about 4.5. Coming up about 5 years with Motor Carrier, okay? And I've been here.
I'm Officer Kimmy. I've been here for a little over 4 years. I started out as a weight inspector, and then I come over to the officer side. I've been doing this for about 3 years. I did that for about a year. This right here is weight inspector Pyron. She works at the Carroll County Inspection Station. So any trucks that go through the weigh station between the hours of 6 a.m. and whatever time she decides she gets to deal with that. So our primary focus is obviously commercial vehicles. We do stop passenger cars and all other kinds of stuff. So we don't just do tractor trailers. We do a little bit of everything. Okay. Right here. Go ahead.
All right, so this is a part where I was getting mixed up.
You'll speak.
This is a little bit of everything that we do, everything from the commercial vehicle safety, federal, as y'all all know, everything that's statewide from Florida, Tennessee. I remember in our school here in Georgia, we have one of the best, I guess classes thrown by the Fed. So, by our own people. We had people from Texas, from New Mexico, from Florida. Their troopers come to just to train with us to do and we certify them to be commercial enforcement. Okay, so starting at the very top is commercial vehicle safety, which that's overall on the roadways. We have school bus safety. All the school buses you see here in Georgia, we make sure that they are safe for the roads. I did that for about a week or two. Don't want to do it again. It's enjoying to see, make sure all our school buses are safe. But it's like constantly 90 school buses a day. Just constantly, back to the next bus. Nick did it for like a month or so.
Whole month of January.
I couldn't do it. Our regulations compliance department, that's the people at headquarters that you'll talk to if you got any questions or you have any issues. That's who you'll call to set up any of the admin stuff. Our HOT lane enforcement, all the lanes you see in Atlanta. I don't think we can go down to the reverse lanes yet. Gwinnett, you'll see our guys up there pull over regular cars, just enforcing those. That's our focus in those areas to make sure that if you're riding an HOV, you have 2 or more in the vehicle. Okay. And our commercial vehicle size and weight enforcement, people at weigh stations, and we also do that on the roadway too. We have portable scales. We're able to do that roadside and at the weigh station, as Jennifer is the one that does that. Okay.
All right. This is just a little bit about what we do on a day-to-day basis. Conduct roadside and fixed site inspections on commercial vehicles, according to FMCSA and CBSA guidelines. Enforce traffic and state law. Like I said, we don't just do trucks, we do cars too. And ensure the roadway is safe for everybody, y'all and your family. This is just a breakdown of officers per region. Region 3, which is Metro Atlanta. You see we got 50 officers right now, so that's pretty high. When I first started, it was like 12. So,
When I started working that. But, and I hate to say this, guys, like everybody knows where something happened, there's usually a tragedy that happens. Is everybody familiar with the incident, I-16 in Savannah? It killed the 5, I think it was 5 or 6 Georgia Southern students, the nurses. So, when that happened, the governor was like, hey, no more on my roadways. Then that's why they said we need more motor carrier officers. So that's this transition these last 2 years or so. We've been getting, more equipment, more guys on the road. So like I said, from a daily just here in Atlanta, you'll see at least 50 of us on the roadways everywhere. People are like, y'all are everywhere now. I'm like, yeah, we are.
And that area you're talking about with the port and everything is Region 7, which you can see is the second biggest number there.
The second in county.
okay.
So like I said, and y'all know the deadliest highways in Georgia is 285 and I-16 going down towards Savannah. And there's so much traffic now, especially with the port. That added business in the port. So I think it was like a partnership between the state and the port because they knew there's going to be way more trucks on the road. And, they're doing a lot of expansion down there on the roadways. Cause if y'all been traveling to Savannah, that's horrible. There's 2 lanes all the way, 2 lanes all the way.
They said 25% increase in truck traffic.
Right.
Before it's finished, so that's a big increase. This is just, breakdown of how many inspections we do every year total. Right there, that's what we did last year, that's a lot of inspections. a lot of inspections. CMP crashes, this is obviously one of the most important things. 39% of large truck occupants killed in crashes not wearing seatbelts, a big thing. It's a little thing, but it's a big thing. Speed was a factor, everybody knows that. The faster you're going, the less likely to survive a crash. 61% of fatal crashes involving the truck occurred in rural areas. 6% of large truck drivers were fractured as a factor, which 16% was related to cell phone. That's a big no-no. Cell phone, everything got to be hands free. All drivers, that. Right here, 4,564 lives lost. 4,079 crashes, so that's a little over 1 crash involving large truck buses. Fatalities increased 5% from last year from 2016. Okay, so and then the fatal crashes have increased by 6%. So we looked at a statistic. The crashes have gone down from last year, but the fatalities have gone up. So we've had more severe crashes. And I think that's part of the fact that they're not making cars like they used to. But that's just my opinion. The things we actually look for on a day-to-day basis, following too close, distracted driving, speeding, and equipment violations. And y'all can't really tell, but that right there, that's me and Officer Thompson.
Nick just made the PowerPoint, so we got more pictures of
The PowerPoint they gave me was old and outdated, so I had to change it. Go ahead, man.
All right, following too closely. Following too closely, tailgate is one of the most common motorist complaints of CMV driver behavior. Everybody knows in Atlanta, if there's space, somebody's gonna try to get in that space. Everybody knows that. So we have seen a lot of, and I think, Nick, you do have those pictures already.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, cool. When that, we understand, like I said, that the passenger vehicles do cause wrecks sometimes. So that's why when we tell y'all we don't just stop the CMVs. Truck drivers are like, oh, y'all just driving out here to get us. Well, no, we're out here to make sure it's safe and everybody's driving safe. So if we do see those cars falling too close on the truck, or we saw the truck falling too close on them, they get into that little space. I had one the other day, cut the truck off, and then the truck kind of, I guess he's trying to get off an exit, but I had to go I went and got the car because, they cut the truck off. He couldn't stop. They can't stop. They don't understand that. You understand what I'm saying? They don't understand that. So following too closely, tailgating is something that we really do focus on also. It indicates that following too closely is 15% CMV crashes. It's a big cause.
15%, that's a big cause. You gotta think about everything that can cause a crash. 15%, that's a lot. Average human response time is 1.5 seconds. So by the time you realize the car in front of you stops, it takes you 1.5 seconds to realize you need to hit the brake. And at 55 miles an hour, you've already traveled 120 feet. At 70 miles an hour, it's 153 feet before you even hit the brake. There's a picture following too close. This was actually out in Temple.
This is one that I worked, and like I said, this is one of the, I guess, biggest crashes that I've seen. When I pulled up, I was the only one out there myself. So what kind of happened with this one? Like I said, there was a crash earlier. Trooper was working a crash. It was over. Traffic still slowly, gets back to normal. At that time, there was a lot of traffic. It was about 5 tractor trailers, four or five tractor trailers. The first tractor trailer didn't even slow down. Hit the back of one tractor trailer. That tractor trailer hit another tractor trailer. That tractor trailer hit this truck. That's a truck. That's a full size Chevrolet. That's a full size. All right. So we will never know because did he die or because his legs were very. They
driver, the cause, yeah, he
the cause that he didn't make it either. So we will really never know what really happened in that, at that time. I mean, was he just, distracted by his phone? Was he just not paying attention? But like I said, he never hit the brakes. Unfortunately, there were 2 people in that vehicle too, from Memorial and from Memorial Week.
Distracted drive. Types of distraction. The first one's gonna be manual. Obviously, means doing something, touching something, whether it be the phone, the radio, book, the hamburger, whatever. Second one is visual. This is Patrick's favorite. Looking at whether it be a cell phone or whatever you're looking at. Billboard. They put billboards up all over the place, and they don't want you to look at them while they put them up. Auditory. Listening to something, having a conversation. I know I've done it myself. I'll be talking on the phone. I've done gone 10 miles down the road and I don't even realize how far I've gone just because I'm holding a deep conversation with somebody. Listening to music, that's another deal. These headphones, you can't have both ears covered when you're driving the truck. Cognitive, this is another one of Patrick's favorites. Things about what he's going to eat for lunch, right? Or where he's going to go out to dinner that night.
But really, guys, this is a big one because, like I said, we do have drivers that all we do is ask, even for us, when we come to work, that we're ready for work. When you're in those 80,000-pound vehicles, and you're thinking about money, you're thinking about your wife was fussing at you, or your kids, So all we ask, and I don't know if y'all like drivers already, unless they maybe admin, I'm not sure, but what I just do ask y'all to make sure that drivers or that if they're actually driving, make sure they're ready for the road, and if they're not in that mindset to drive today, they'll need to be driving. Because that's how a lot of crashes are caused too.
Speed enforcement. About, I guess it was this time last year, department decided to spend all the money they had on this new fancy device called the TrueCam. And it's just like your basic laser, except it actually gives you a picture and video to go with it. And I got a clip on here that I'm gonna show y'all in a couple of slides where y'all can see how clear the picture is, and it actually takes a little short video clip. This thing, device right here, it costs about $4,000 a piece. They give all of us one. So they're pretty serious about the speed enforcement. And another thing with this is it doesn't only capture speed, it captures following too close. You target one car, you target the other car, tell you how fast they're both going and distance in between.
Can't say it's not me anymore. We got video of it.
Yeah. We got a short video to play. We always have a problem with this video. Always. But this is just something that the news did for us. And
drivers may see more flashing blue lights on highways around Metro Atlanta. Challenge's Linda Stouffer went along as officers pulled over truck drivers for taking chances that could be really dangerous.
You're going 65 in a 50 zone.
If you don't have business in Atlanta, stay outside the perimeter.
Operation Safe Driver targets the biggest vehicles on Metro Atlanta's highways. We rode along with officers in the Motor Carrier Compliance Division as they pulled over one truck and found 10 violations.
You gotta take 285 around, okay?
They say another professional driver didn't belong on I-20 anyway.
Supposed to have a business inside 285, a drop or something like that, and he didn't have that today. So we got 2 violations on him today.
In this crackdown, they're actively looking for drivers who are also distracted, driving aggressively, or just too tired to safely have a truck on our roads.
You have to drive in respect of what your profession is. If you don't, you may have to deal with us.
Lieutenant William Satterfield says many accidents with trucks are the fault of another driver, but he wants to fix bad habits that can make a wreck worse.
They need to create space. They need to slow down. They know the vehicle's braking capabilities.
James Hodo told me he's been driving 30 years without an accident and sees regular drivers taking too many chances.
They don't understand that we can't just stop instantly. You know, and then it's everybody. Everybody needs to pay more attention to the road.
All week, officers will be inspecting trucks and double-checking speeds to keep highways safer for everybody. In Fulton County, Linda Stouffer, Channel 2 Action News.
this right here is the slide I was talking about. These are pictures from the TrueCam device. That tag right there, you can almost read it clearly. This tag on the front of this truck and this truck are the same. This is, I'm gonna play this little clip for you in just a second, but like Officer Thompson said, there's no more saying, well, that wasn't me. Because when you watch this, you'll see where this vehicle gets targeted. And when you see this picture right here, you can read this tag and the unit number right there. You can zoom in, and you can just about see the driver sometimes, depends on the sun. This one up top was a following too close. Right here it says vehicle 1 was going 69, vehicle 2 going 71. The distance that vehicle 1 was from me, the distance vehicle 2, and the distance between the cars, it says, was 211 feet. So, like I said, remember I said it's going 50 miles an hour. This one's actually going 70, so it's, what, 153 feet to stop, and he's only 200 feet behind him. Or 153 feet before you realize it's time to stop, and he's only 200 feet behind him. So that only gives him 50 feet to stop that vehicle after he's hit the brake, which is too close. This clip is it's a real fast clip. I'll play it a couple times, but you can see where the vehicle gets targeted, and so there's no, well, that wasn't me, or you didn't target me, or it's right on. And it does that with every video or every car we target. Equipment violations. Now, a lot of these, all these are pictures that I've actually took myself for. Officer Thompson took, except for this picture right here. I just found this on the internet and thought it was kind of funny. It's a piece of wood instead of metal like it's supposed to be. But this right here is a broken leaf spring that I found during an inspection, and this right here was a brake drum, but it came apart and we're still driving. We look for stuff like that on the side of the road. Obviously, you can't see this on the side of the road, but lights out, tires that are bad, What else we look for when you're looking for equipment violation while you're on the side of the road?
Like Nick said, the wheel passes on the wheel things on the tires. That's some of the stuff that we look at, and everyone's like, "Oh, why you stop me?" It can be for any reason, or it can be for no reason at all. We just want to make sure that that they're in compliance. You understand what I'm saying? So that's a part of our daily thing. But like you said, you can't see that in the first initial. But like I said, we're just checking lights, the windshield. If it's obscured, if there's anything in the window that if there's a lot of trash in the windows that I guess like Mindy's papers and McDonald's and stuff like that. We have trucks like that has stuff all piled up there. That we stop stuff like that a little bit more. Sometimes they don't have all their stuff together.
Can I interrupt you guys for 1 second and just have you elaborate on that a little bit more? So you mentioned when you stop someone, you can stop them for no reason at all. And a lot of these folks aren't in the trucking side, so they may not know that. So I just wanted you to maybe elaborate that you can stop a vehicle at any time. And then also, how long does it take maybe to do a complete level 1 inspection so that these folks can understand, even though we didn't do anything wrong, you can still stop us, and how long that takes?
In the regular, regular city and county and even state, you usually have probable cause to pull over cars or pedestrian vehicles. But when it's a FMCSA kind of deal, we don't have to have that. Okay, and when we're stopping them, it could be like I said, it's random, just anything or nothing.
But it's not that we don't have to have a reason to stop them. We're stopping them to perform an inspection.
Right.
We're not just stopping them just to hold them up. If we're gonna stop them, we got to do an inspection. But at least check the paperwork, and if they're good, and I'm not gonna waste my time on a truck that don't need to be inspected. If I look at it and say, okay, never mind, go ahead. It might take 2 minutes. Now, if we do an inspection on the side of the road, you normally won't get under a truck or look at stuff like this just because it's not safe for us, unless need be. But level 3, which is just the paperwork and all that stuff, it might take 15 minutes. Now, you get a full inspection, a level 1 inspection where you're checking the brakes and everything, in an hour and a half. Okay.
And that's delays for you guys' deliveries.
Yeah.
That there's no fault of the trucking company.
Sorry about that. These inspection stations, just because they get pulled around back in the inspection station, doesn't mean they're overweight, doesn't mean they did anything wrong. They can just send it to all reports, everybody comes, just because they get pulled in don't mean anything wrong. They can set it to all report and make everybody come in, and we get our picking of what truck we want to inspect.
We also have the technology for it to read the license plates and your DOT numbers. So as you're coming across the scale, if you go in front of those cameras, we have the ability to look up and see what company it is, see a safe score of that company. We also recently got the technology to where as the truck is coming up the ramp, you can take a look at the tires. If the tires are bald, if the tires have any defect in them that needs attention. So now, like you said, when you come into the weigh station, you're not necessarily overweight. It could be a number of things.
On the computer, it automatically, like if you have your safety score is lower, I think it automatically brings you start bringing that down to or higher.
If you have that higher safety score, it will automatically pull you back as well. So
when you're doing the inspections, does that impact the driver's ELD, with ELD mandated time when you drive, or
Yes, sir, they still on duty on driving. So it doesn't hurt their driving time, but it will hurt their 14 hours. Size and weight, we do roadside weight assessments with our portable scales. Most of the time you won't see us doing it because we're lazy. We'll go out there to the weigh station and run the scales. That's what you guys on a day-to-day basis. We're smarter, not harder. Like I said, school bus safety responsible for inspecting every school bus in the state of Georgia. Every single one of them. So 19,000 buses last year. I know DeKalb County has about 3,000 by themselves, and that's the ones I did in January.
It keeps growing too.
Compliance reviews, what you were talking about earlier, this is the people at headquarters that run the safety audits on the actual companies. We work with drivers, they work with the company, make sure they got the paperwork in order, and make sure everything's compliant. And you see right here, and these are compliance officers only deal with Georgia-based carriers, but that's a big number right there. They still depends on last year. just for companies not doing what they're supposed to do and taking care of the stuff like they're supposed to. And then the HOV and HOT lanes, y'all know what the HOV, the hot lane is the total lanes, Road 85.
And also, that number that you saw earlier, and on a day-to-day basis, guys, like the tickets that we write, all that kind of stuff, people are like, oh, you're trying to get a raise. Like, no, I'm not. We don't, like, the state doesn't get any of that money, that when we write tickets and things like that, it goes to the counties and the cities. If y'all remember, or some of y'all in the era where you had like CAB, Atlanta, they were like doing the enforcement too, that was taken away by our commissioner who's a trooper, because some of the cities were kind of abusing it. You know, if they had like 10 or so 20 violations, they would try to write 10 or 20 tickets. And you know, it was just a money generator for them. So our commissioner's like, no, we're not gonna do these. Most of these people are hardworking truck drivers, and we're not gonna let you keep, you know, just trying to get money for the cities or for the county. Okay, so so that's when, like I said, when we're actually doing that, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna, you know, sometimes we might have to take tickets if we deserve them, but you know, most of the time we're not gonna do that. The younger guys, though, they might. Our new guys, but that's what y'all
No,
know.
we don't get any revenue from any tickets that we write. They all go to the county or city we write them. So, you know, we don't have a vote on tickets to write, and so we don't go out there looking to write tickets, because like I said, it don't benefit us in any way, because we'll have to go to court. And like I said, the HOV and HOT, we got 8 officers that work in the HOV and HOT. We got 2 that work HOT, and 8 for the HOV and Metro Atlanta. That's the deal. Officer Thompson's name not on here, so he can participate in making this at all. I gave you a lot of footage on here. All right, I know we're kind of pressed on time, and this took a little bit longer than I thought it would. But if y'all have any questions that y'all want to ask that we can answer, y'all still here. Go ahead.
I have a question. So on the roads here, it doesn't seem that there's any rules with regards to trucks, which lanes they can actually occupy. So in Europe, you know, let's say Germany specifically, you know, you stay in that right lane or else you're in trouble. Here it's pretty much a free-for-all. I mean, or is there a regulation just nobody abides
There's a
to?
lane restriction. They can't be in the left lane at all. There's signs just about on 20 all the way from Villa Rica into Atlanta and all the way through to Canada, it goes back to 2 lanes. There's signs that say trucks over 6 wheels must use right 2 lanes. We write that ticket all the time because they can out in the left lane and go wherever they want to go. So I just all the morning. But yeah, no, they're not allowed to be in the left lane. They can't use the HOV lane either. It don't matter if they got a co-driver or not, they're not allowed the HOV lane. There is a restriction on lane use.
What's the percentage of truckers in the weigh station that their actual cargo is overweight? I mean, I'm sure it's
very low.
It is low.
Very, very low. I mean, how many trucks come in the station a day, you say?
I probably said the ones that come in and we weigh them, it's usually under 100.
And then you might
Under 100
write,
that we actually weigh. You know, and as they're coming across those scales, that's filtering out the ones, you know, that's really not overweight. So usually if they come back there to us, you can be an overweight or underweight. So.
but you y'all together might write 6 tickets a day, maybe?
Yeah.
So you think 100 trucks get pulled around to the scales and only 6 tickets on the road? So that's very low.
Right, it
Very,
is.
very low.
Do you notice that that's more with like the pure 53-foot dry vans, or do you see it more in some like what our business is like a lot of the ocean containers, intermodal type stuff, like where you?
Yeah, the intermodal stuff is overweight a lot, but y'all can get permits for that stuff. So if y'all get a permit, we get permits on all of that.
Any intermodal that comes in, we always ask them, do you have a permit?
Yeah.
Because it's so common that they do. So, you know, that's a lot of it. And then we will have these trucks that come in with scrap metal, dump trucks, you know, so it's really a variety of the trucks, but the intermodals are a big one.
But if you have trucks that are truly overweight and they're exceeding any kind of official limitations, what are they going to do? I mean, you still give them a big penalty, big ticket, and they can still continue to ride, or they have to, I don't know.
If they are, we only hold them if they are 6,000 pounds over on the axle or over on gross. At that point, that's when we take that legal step and we say, okay, you are held till legal.
Okay.
If you are less than that,
You're fine.
then you do receive the fine. It does go to the company, and, and it's a nickel a pound, so, however much you're over, we're kind of on the lower side of other states, but yes, sir, I mean, it's, as they come in, we just give them the ticket, we pull inside, get the registration on.
But if he's a danger to, obviously or for safety, you wouldn't let them drive, continue to drive if they are
And-
way.
Correct, if it's a danger, like if they're over that limit,
Yeah.
then yes, sir, we definitely.
They have to stop. Okay.
So what do they gotta do? Either get the proper permits to drive during the proper hours, or maybe get another truck there to get some cargo offloaded?
A lot of times that's the case. A lot of times they, call their fleet manager or whoever it is to come in and help unload the product. Because the permits can only, you can only have a permit if you have an undivisible load. So, that kind of weeds out the ones that can have permits.
That happened to us once, and we had to send another truck out.
And what do you back the trailers behind each other and just start showing it? If the stuff is too heavy, somebody coming.
Well, we have a pallet jack.
We had one truck that come in one time, and he swore up and down, but there's no way I'm heavy. There's no way in this world that I'm heavy. Well, and he came in at 100,000 pounds, so we're talking about a standard 53-foot trailer. And then once they done some digging, they discovered that he actually had 2 loads on his truck. So another truck
Save some
came
money.
and did that.
Go ahead.
What prevents truckers to just get off the highway and just bypass the wait stations?
That's where we come in.
Because they're not only on the interstates, they're also on the back roads too.
Okay,
Yeah,
but it could
we
happen,
come
right?
off the back road.
Or?
There's one back road specifically, Highway 78, that runs behind our weigh station in Carrollton. And we might go sit out there and don't matter what truck comes by, we'll pull them over. And, like I said, we got portable scales, so we can weigh them right there. And they're not allowed as much weight on that road as they are on the interstate. And if you get caught, not only do you get a ticket for bypassing the scale, but they'll look at your bill and it says you're going from Atlanta to Birmingham and you got off the interstate and gone, Highway 78. That's a problem. And not only are you going to get a ticket for that, the ticket's going to be way higher than it would if you went through the weigh station. And, if those are the only 2 things you got, then you're doing good. So, especially if I got to pull the scale, that's going to get a ticket, I promise. Because they're heavy and they're a pain in the butt.
I know we've only got like 2 or so minutes left for you guys, but can you speak real quick on the hours of service and as far as how that is impacted, what you're enforcing and all that aspect?
I can, it's just better for me to answer questions.
Do you have the electronic possibility to read out hours of service, or do you have to stop somebody and look at the logs?
No, we actually have to stop them and we have to get the driver to email to send them to us or look at it physically.
Do trucks have to get certified once a year or once a quarter, or there's no
Annual inspection.
Annual inspection.
Annual inspection, truck and trailer.
Okay. What's the latest rule on the hands-free for any passenger out there on the street? I heard they were passing a bill lately, or about to,
Yeah, it
or?
won't come into effect until, July, so when everything goes to
Yeah,
July.
the fiscal year starts.
And
They just passed the bill, so when July rolls around,
Yeah.
they'll actually put it into effect.
So what does it say?
Everything's gotta be hands-free.
So not even eating, drinking, phone, nothing? Or is it just related to electronic devices?
I believe it's everything, because it says everything has to be hands-free. With the cell phone, you get one touch, you get an answer, and that's it. But you gotta have a headset, and most cars now come with Bluetooth, so you just hit and answer, and you're done.
Well, do you know if the fines will be split, obviously I'm from Europe as well?
I don't know.
The points on not following the rules is almost the equivalent of a DUI in England, so.
Well, yeah, that's what I was expecting. I've been saying that for a couple of years. I think it's gonna be.
They say that's the new DUI.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cell phones are-
Now, each county gets to set their own fine for the ticket, so I can't tell you what the fines are gonna be or what the penalty's gonna be. That's gonna be something that the county has to talk to their DA.
Like Douglasville is, like in Douglas County, they're higher than Polk County, I think.
Yes, I live there.
Douglas County, they do not play, when they write a commercial, I guess with a cell phone or seatbelt, really, I mean, they're so different than Fulton County, they'll stick it to you in Douglas County.
So in July, you're not able to eat while driving anymore? Is that what you're saying?
Not even not even putting a lipstick on. Sorry.
I see people watching makeup videos and are you serious? I'm like,
Nobody's gonna stop you from eating, as long as you're not swearing all over the road.
that's what's wrong.
You would be.
These guys will be around after the presentation. We're doing another one at 1 o'clock for another group, so they'll be here for lunch. So if you guys think of any more questions during the presentation, I'm sure they'd be happy to answer them for you. So I just want to say thank you guys for
Thank you.
Our next presenter is Rich Munson. He is with National Transportation Insurance Specialists. These fine folks have provided Mohawk with their, with their insurance now for a couple of years now, Rich, right? 3 or 4? And they're a phenomenal group of people. But Rich is going to speak to you a little bit about the truck insurance market and the challenges that we see there. I don't want to start this much. There we go. Back up. There we go. So, Rich?
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Rich Munson from National Transportation Insurance. I specialize in transportation only for truckers. Been in the business for over 22 years now. I imagine none of you all have really experienced any kind of commercial insurance in the trucking side to really understand how it all kind of works, how supply and demand creates issues in the marketplace. So over the last about 2 years, the marketplace has changed dramatically. We have seen an exodus of insurance carriers pulling out of the trucking industry because basically they're not making any money. Any business, you got to make money. So what happens now is our supply and demand has shrunk to where we have less folks to go to find clients like Mohawk to try to get better price rates. And when that happens, you have a glut in the marketplace too, where all these underwriters are out there now getting overwhelmed with submissions. Submissions are quite detailed on my side. You have to have a quick list, driver's list, loss runs for the last 5 years. A lot of information goes into this. And so what happens now is you have underwriters that really aren't willing to pick up the risk and pick up and look at it unless they think they have a shot at it. And so with today's environment, there's so much information out there that is accessible to these underwriters. So without even getting a submission, they can pull up endless amount of information. A lot of it comes from fine officers we just had here that do these inspections. You have tickets, you have driving without seatbelts, you have all this stuff that's accessible now for these underwriters. CAB reports, which tells the underwriter a lot. It gives them a list of trucks that are out here, where they're hauling, what kind of commodities they're hauling, miles that they're running. If there's any conveyance accounts, which means is there another trucking company in that same facility that they're hiding trucks back and forth. So these underwriters have a lot of available information, which makes them, they aren't knowledgeable. So when you try to go in there and you try to explain the risk to them, and they find out that you're budgeting on something or you're not completely being honest with them, they can call you out on it right away. So today's marketplace has changed a great deal over the last 4 years, because of the amount of information that's out there they can access. Matter of fact, I had another market just pulled out of the marketplace on Monday, and they just sent me an email saying, hey, we're done until further notice. They're going to keep their renewals and they'll service those accounts, but they're done. I write business across the country pretty much. And a lot of the driving force of the pricing is location. Atlanta is a pretty tough spot. If you're in rural areas, not so bad. Florida, California are terrible, very litigious states. So you'll have insurance companies that will write Kentucky that won't even entertain Georgia because of the litigious state. Mississippi's a pretty tough state. So as far as that goes, getting back to some of the information that you're going to get and some of the information which I'll talk to you about a little bit later that you can access. There's so much information that is on fine officers' information when you pull into a truck stop. They can see every inspection you've done. Which truck has been inspected? Has that truck been brakes out of adjustment? How many times? That driver, how many inspections has that driver been in? How many tickets has he got? There's just an ungodly amount of information when you pull in a truck pulls into an inspection or he pulls you over. He knows the history about this, about Mohawk, the whole company. It's incredible about the information. I can get you a software that will allow you, if you get a driver pulled over, you'll get an email the next morning about that inspection and what's going on. You'll be able to pull up every truck to see which truck's causing your problems. I'll talk to you more about that. It's a new product. But so with that being said, you have work comp, you have cargo, you have liability, you have physical damage on your trucks, you have employer's liability, you have all these different coverage. I'll give you an example of what's happened over the last 2 years. One of it was the market shrink. We were 2 years ago, we were getting insurance premium. I'm going to talk about liability, not cargo physical damage, just a liability. Liability is if you hit somebody, you're going to fix their car, and if they get hurt, you're going to fix them. That's what liability covers. So we're talking about liability only. 2 years ago, 20 truck account, 50 truck account, I could get liability coverage on a good clean account. Let's just say $3,500 to $4,500 a truck liability. Today, on a good clean account, it's over $7,000. That's on a good account. That's on a clean account. That's on an account like Mohawk's, which we're coming up for renewal. We'll see what the market's going to bear. But that's with a good account. So you have, what happens out there is you have certain insurance companies. This is kind of how it breaks down. You'll have, let's say, 5 insurance companies that say, I only want the clean accounts. And which they're saying to themselves, I'll take all the good accounts that doesn't have infractions of the yin-yang and all this kind of stuff. And we want a price between $4,500 and $7,000. Wherever that may lay. Per truck. Wherever that may lay, based on their territory and where they're going and all that kind of stuff. So then you have a middle market, which is the accounts that are not bad, but they get inspections and they have out-of-service issues and they have driver issues and they have logbook violations and they're middle road at best. They're good to middle road, but not a bad account. Those accounts, 2 years ago, I was getting pricing, I'd say between $5,500 and $7,500 a truck. Those middle accounts right now are north of $10,000 a truck, just for liability. That's just liability. And there's not all. What happens is you got some insurance companies saying, I want the good accounts. Then you have insurance companies saying, I only want the bad accounts because, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Then you have a limited amount of insurance companies that say, I want this middle market account because they don't feel like they're getting enough money in that middle market. So they feel like I have a good company here, I'll bank on them, try to write their business. Middle guy here, he's kind of iffy. These bad guys out here are bad. These guys out here that are bad, they're getting maybe $8,000 a truck for them back 2 years ago. They're north of $15,000 to $25,000 per truck on liability only. So that's how the market's changed. And I don't, to be honest with you, insurance is like any other business. You've got to make money in your business. So to give you an example of how the insurance companies decide if they're profitable. On the liability side, let's just say it's a $10,000 premium. The cost of that insurance, which is reinsurance, claims handling, my commission, and all that stuff, is 50%. So the cost the cost to the insurance company, I want to take that back. 50% is on physical damage and cargo. On liability, because of what Zeus's background, it's 60%. So that only, just from the get-go, that gives you a 40% possibility profit margin. So if it's $10,000 trucks, you have $4,000 to pay towards a claim. That is why everybody's pulled out. It's only 40%. So they're having a hard time making money. So when you go up and you get a $15,000, $20,000, $10,000 to $20,000 per truck, the companies are saying, I'll take the risk, are saying at a 50%, 60% cost factor, I have $6,000 or $8,000 per truck to offset my claims. They're feeling like that's a better opportunity for them. So I don't really see it changing anytime soon, because, like I said, the only way it's going to change, some changes in the litigious market. You have simple supply and demand. If you have more insurance companies saying, I want to invest and take a chance in the trucking company, that will create a competitive atmosphere in the trucking company, in the insurance side, then you'll have some competitiveness. Right now, my quotes that come to me, they basically send it to me and say, take it or leave it. No negotiation. You used to be able to create a story for an insurer. You know, come across and say, oh, they have these infractions, here's what they've done to improve, here's what they're doing, here's where that accident, they weren't at fault, all that kind of stuff. They're not even entertaining that stuff. They entertain what they can get on from CAB rating, Safer Systems, and other public information. And they'll take a little bit of what you say into consideration, but not much. So there's not a whole bunch I can do as an agent to go out there and try to negotiate better pricing on behalf of the insurer. It's like I said, I don't see it changing. So I don't know where we're going to end up. But a lot of people, when I come back with $20,000 a truck, they say I'm going out of business and I can't do it. But they find a way to do it. I don't know how they do it. Maybe they get rate increases. I don't know. But most of them stick around. I haven't really lost one or two that we can put on the book. So as I tell them, I just don't see it changing. So that's kind of what's going on in the market. I hate to, probably short on my 15 minutes, but I can take some questions or I can go into more detail about insurance. But the main reason I was brought in today is to really give you an idea of how the insurance market works and how the pricing has changed dramatically in the last 2 years. So everybody that has any questions about commercial trucking insurance?
Please forgive me because I will not know anything. I'm just very curious that you brought up liability. Well, you know, somebody, a consumer like myself who has a car but still making payments, I have to have full coverage. I would assume now that these trucks are newer, a lot of people have a truck payment that they have to have full coverage just like we do.
Yes.
And I would assume that's a lot more than a liability.
Now here's how I'll educate you a little bit on how that works. So you have a truck that's worth $100,000. You have what's called a rate for that truck. So you'll have what's called, say, a $5 rate. So it's $100,000. A $5 rate equals $5,000 a year for the $100,000 coverage. That's how that works. The reason I didn't bring up cargo, and you need cargo, you need physical damage on your truck, you need work comp, all this stuff adds to the expense of the trucking company. Those other markets, the cargo, the phys dam have gone up a little bit. The work comp's kind of been stable. It's not really changed much. So there's competition in that area. So it's not. I don't see that changing a lot. So I didn't talk about those things. But on the cargo side, it's been pretty stable for the last 3 years. But you know, if they're not making money, they're going to go up. So any questions?
So it's really only the liability portion that's really double?
Liability and umbrella, because umbrella sits on top of the liability, and the umbrella, just give you an example of how that kind of works. If the umbrella, if the liability is $100,000 and you need an extra $1 billion on top of that, it's usually 25% of the 100. So you're going to get an extra $1 billion, you got to spend about $25 million. So it's 25% of your underlying coverage. This is the rule of thumb.
On the $100,000 example that you use in the 5%, is there a depreciation factor that comes into play year over year as that asset declines in value?
Good question. How we get the values of the equipment is directly from the insurance company, not the insurance company, the insurer. So we don't know, and neither does the insurance company know what the values are of these trucks because they're depreciated, this and that. So it's critical that when we ask for an equipment list, they go through their equipment list and go out to market and look and see what those values are. Because if there's a claim and they underestimated that value on the truck, it's a $100,000 truck and they got $50,000 of insurance on it, they're getting 50 grand.
Yeah.
If they, here's the bad side, if they insure it for $125,000 and the truck is only worth 100 grand, they're getting 100 grand. It's called actual cash value. So you can't over-insure it and expect to have a windfall.
But so it really puts the pressure on them then to micromanage the portfolio of assets and the dollar amount so that they're covered, but then at the same time not give too much away.
Yeah, because you're giving it away. And then some of the other things they can do to manage their expenses is that they believe in themselves. The more they believe in themselves, the higher the deductible layer they can take. I have an example of one guy, he's 200 trucks. He takes out a $250,000 deductible. His premium is $6,000 per truck. $250,000.
To answer Dave, your question, making sure the values are right. We lease most of our vehicles from Penske. So when we go to renew, we get the value of the tractor from Penske. Because it's up to them, because they're the ones who have to replace it. And it's a little bit more expensive, but we use the Penske we lease. Even though it's a little bit more expensive for us, if something goes wrong with that truck, we don't lose a truck, we can pick one up right away. So that's why we lease. It's a little bit more expensive, but it provides a better service, to put it on.
I got a question. On these intermodal, these chassis that are coming out of pools, who is responsible for that insurance? Because I can tell you when I'm driving on the highway and I look at chassis, it's like, I mean, I get away. I get away because the tires, the brakes, you don't know how well they're maintained. Who's responsible for that?
The trucking company pulling that chassis. They're responsible for tires, lights, anything safety on that vehicle. So it's all on them.
Wow.
The liability portion of that is definitely on the trucking company. The physical damage on that container, again, is on the trucking company. They have that coverage what's called trailer interchange, which allows coverage for any trailer that's a container freight type business to have coverage for physical damage. And the cargo will follow that trucking company, whatever's in that container is covered on the cargo. But yeah, the ultimate liability lies on the trucking company. So if the light's not working, he can't turn around and say, well, blame the whatever intermodal carrier it is.
Right.
So it's their responsibility. Trucking companies are unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Just from an insurance guy, I see it. I'm not a safety guy or anything kind of stuff. But the amount of regulation that has come down the road, and it's good stuff. I mean, it's to keep the public safe. I mean, but for all these trucking companies to try to implement and put in place electronic logs, I see a lot of cameras now on trucks, which I promote dramatically. The camera that points to the road and the one that points at the driver at the same time, because now you have a teachable moment. You can see if that guy touches the brake, it creates an inertia change. It's going to take 12 seconds of video. It saves 4 seconds prior to the event and 8 seconds after. So you can see if he hits that brake, if the guy was following too close, and you can see if he was looking down or what he was doing at that instant. So now you get that video, you can bring them in and have a sit-down moment with them and say, look, we're getting too many of these videos of you following too close or speeding or whatever it may be. So I'm a big promoter of the cameras now. And I found out that the drivers are not against it. They are at first because they're old school and they just go, it's change. Nobody loves change. Nobody likes it. But once they get and they start recognizing that it can save their butt in an accident if somebody shorts them, or a lot of instances, they come on board pretty quick. So, any other questions? A couple of questions.
Rich, if you can expand on this. We've had to put safety programs together. We've had to hire just a safety director, and we've had to implement safety training. We have the drivers come in, look at a video, all right? And we have to take a driver out of our rotation so we can implement that program. And how important that is to ensure, how important it is to, say, an accident, where, you know, what.
So when you talk about, let's talk about fatality type accidents. If you hit in a fatality type accident and you have a driver that's continuously doing things that are not safe, and he's getting infractions, and everything, you know, not getting you as a company, I know you don't do this, but you as a company don't have the proper safety in place and the management of training that driver to create a safer driver for the public, because your ultimate job as a trucking company is to have a safe operation for the public. And when you have a road driver, I'll use a road driver, as an employee, he goes out and gets a fatality, and he has 3 speeds behind him, all kinds of infractions. That comes down to what's called negligent entrustment. And when you get into negligent entrustment and negligent hiring, negligent entrustment means you know you have a bad driver. You haven't done anything to make him better, and you keep putting him out there on the road, knowingly. And what happens with that is that when the lawyer gets a hold of that, they go through all the files, all the driver files. They will dig down deep and find out something about this driver. And when they find out that you didn't do anything about it, you now have a $1 billion claim. But what's worse than that, it becomes punitive. Punitive is a punishment to the trucking company for doing something they shouldn't have done, that they should have changed. They're punishing the trucking company. Most insurance companies will have an exclusion for punitive coverage. So now you have a $1 billion claim, which is probably going to get paid out from the insurance company also, because it's a fatality. But the judge is saying, I'm saying another $1 million to punish these guys, the trucking companies. And I'm sorry, because you don't run an operation like that. So that's the problem, to where the smaller trucking companies don't have the money to hire the proper people to create good safety program, and which Glenn is doing. And it's very expensive. It's not a cheap thing to get a true safety program in place, because there's training of the drivers, there's time that's committed, there's buying software, there's, I'm going to tell you, I'll talk to you about a little bit later. There's a lot that goes in, a lot of expense. A lot of expense goes into safety, but if you don't do it, you have problems. You have problems with the DOT, those guys come back in and do an inspection, and they shut you down or fine you. So the cost of running a trucking company has just increased a lot over the last 2 years, based on insurance, based on compliance. It's pretty crazy.
Rich, can you actually just touch on as well for just a minute, from their end, they're the shipper and they contract with Mohawk. Something goes wrong on our end. Can you talk a little bit about their potential liability on some of this stuff?
When you say something goes wrong,
maybe a fatality accident where, you know, say they're using a trucking company that's hasn't invested as much in safety.
Oh, so another trucking company besides you, and how can it?
If they as a shipper use a company that maybe isn't doing everything right.
Well, that's a good question. I don't know if I have the exact answer to that, but I can tell you from my experience of just talking to underwriters and so on. I'm not a lawyer, as you can tell. But what happens is, what I see now, logistics companies, they are being very critical on who they bring. Now I know they all have the whole harmlesses and no subrogation and all that kind of stuff that kind of insulates you. When you get in a court battle, that stuff probably is not going to hold up as much as you would hope it to. So what I see a lot going on now is that, I'm sure you're already doing this, you're paying yourself this additional insurer to cover your legal expenses if you get pulled into something. The insurance company that has the trucking company has to represent you also, so you keep that cost down to a minimum. But you're probably going to have representation watching over that legal representation just to make sure it's going the route you want it to go. But what I see now is the logistic company is doing, because a lot of information is public, you got to learn what you can get to and what you can actually review to make sure you're hiring a company that is conscientious on safety and compliance. It's your responsibility. Now, when you're being brought into a lawsuit, who who knows? But if you're negligent, just like we were talking about the trucking company being negligent about drivers, if you're negligent about who you hire, there's a pretty good possibility you're going to get drawn into something. If they come and find out that all you're doing is send in the cheapest load you can out to the worst trucking company you can, because that's who you come to. So there is that possibility. So what I've seen is a lot of logistic companies do a lot more research on the trucking companies.
And that's why I get a little upset sometimes. Because sometimes people some people will go to the cheapest company. Okay? And that hurts us, because one, we're in-house, but two, we go to all this expense, make sure we're compliant, make sure we're offering a safe product, for all your freight. And other companies aren't as dedicated to safety as we are. So another thing to think about, why some companies are cheaper than we are. Okay.
Any questions?
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Danny Medley, and Doug has also joined us here today. They're both ProSource. They'll speak to their company more than I will, obviously, but ProSource is currently providing Mohawk with our driver needs. So when we have a new driver we need to recruit to fill a spot, they help our making sure we're hiring safe drivers, doing background checks. So they're really kind of supplying drivers to us. So I'll let them speak about their company and then about the current driver market. And they've got a slideshow here that I'm going to pop up for you. And Danny, take it away.
All right. I'm Danny Medley with ProSource. This is Doug Mills. He's president, owner of the company. Believe it or not, this September will make 41 years I've been in the distribution logistics. Seen a lot of changes. Been an adventure. Right now it's more than an adventure. It's sort of torture. Just everybody's heard there's a driver shortage. This is just an image on numbers and why. American Trucking Association estimates the current shortage of 35 to 50,000 drivers. I personally think that's low. NK estimates the shortage projected to possibly reach 175 by 2026 if the current trends continue. The trucking industry grew by 6% in 2017, good year last year. This year, the industry growth is at 5.4%. As you all know, the economy has been doing pretty good. Taking a little backslide a little bit, not much. More freight, fewer drivers available. It's a huge problem that affects us all, everybody. This is just a little graph from U.S. driver shortage. You see 2018, this graph is more realistic to me. And it's not a pretty picture.
Excuse me. This is on the sheet, the handout.
Oh, yep.
Okay. Why is there driver shortage? Demographics, age and gender. Average age of a truck driver is 55 years old. Retiring will only celebrate in the next 10 to 15 years. That means your veteran drivers and the majority of your drivers are going to be leaving the workforce. Women make up 40% of the nation's workforce and only account for 6% of commercial drivers. I've been doing this a long time, and there's a lot of different reasons why women don't go into it. Some of the best drivers that I've ever encountered or managed have been women. And I'm not just they're more serious. The attrition rate is far outpacing the number of new drivers entering the industry. Here's a Hayden trucker. You see the blue on top, 45 to 54.
One in there. Top button.
right here, all right, that's a big slice. Look at here, the 55 to 64 that's going to be retired. I'm in that range, about to be in that range. So that's not leaving a lot. Right, and here's what's happening. You look, back here it's hard to find drivers. The economy was doing good. Everything, not so hard to find drivers. Well, we were in a recession. Okay? U.S. males in retirement. U.S. males in retirement is rising sharply. You see the supply of incoming drivers? It's dropping. Those lines are going to cross. And women in trucking. One reason women don't go into trucking anymore, one, they look at it, everything's going on in the world. Well, it's not. There's a lot of space for women for line hauls, back and forth, hub and spoke, that thing. But there's physical differences. Men are bigger, stronger. I've seen some women that are pretty damn strong. But that's the difference. We need to attract more women to the industry. Why is there a driver shortage? Driver pay. It has been typically lagged behind everybody else as far as going up. I've seen driver pay accelerate faster this year than I ever have in 41 years. It is just, people are law of supply and demand. It's very simple economics. The demand is high, the supply is low, the prices go up. Okay? Driver benefits. There's a lot of companies that don't provide benefits for the driver. They're just out there, they'll pay them $10.99 or just not offering benefits if they're under people. I believe we all know everybody needs benefits. Only one major illness can wipe you out. I've been there, done that, and don't want to again. Driver recognition for superior performance. You have to recognize these guys. It doesn't take a lot. I worked for a Fortune, well this year's Fortune 5 corporation, Fortune 100, for about 13 years. Continually promoted up the line. I was told I was doing a good job that whole time, 2 times. I figured I was doing okay, but, you know, drivers or whoever like to hear a little acknowledgement, just small things, just a pat on the back, or any little thing helps. Lack of recognition for the need for skilled trades and the place for everyone to attend college. We missed the boat, people, on this one. We should have, when we did away with shop class in high school and different kind of trades, everybody wants their kids to go to college. Well, not every kid's fit for college. We have drivers right now that can make, if they got a clean driving record, we can get them making $75,000 a year right off the bat. That's good money. And it's not recognized as a good career path. Well, it is limited somewhat. A lot of you drivers typically can't go into management or whatever. Me, I started as a driver when I was going to college. Got out, moved up, and it depends on what kind of efforts you know put into it, where you can go. Why is there a driver shortage? Driver lifestyle. Away from home extended periods of time, and unusual working hours. I'm sure y'all are familiar with that, being in the import business. Air freight is freight's moving out. Nutrition, lots of fast food, unhealthy choices. Drivers have to eat when they can, where they can. There's not a lot of places they can pull a truck. Take their break and get something to eat. Sedentary lifestyle, sitting behind the wheel for 8 to 11 hours a day. And it's not healthy, as you can tell. I've been riding to death. Mine's the same thing. Sleep deprivation. Unusual schedules make it hard to get home. If you've ever had to change your shift or anything, I'm sure y'all can all relate to that. It makes it hard to fall back into a routine. All right, increased government regulations. You heard that from the officers out here. And I want to say,